As you can see here, I've spent 1.86 million just on this account in the last 2 years of me running the ads. And this is just one account. I've spent more than that, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, this is how I run ads. So I'm going to show you what I do now, okay? And there have been a lot of things I've done. I have tested a lot. I have seen a lot. I've been running ads since 2017, okay? And I've been in Facebook ads, in Meta ads, testing new things. I've seen a lot of changes. And I can tell you, this is how I run ads now. And this strategy that I'm going to show you, this works at the moment. Now, it may not work for you and it may be different for you, but the main thing as a media buyer, as a person running the ads is testing. You need to be open to testing. All right. So I'm going to show you the things that I have learned, things that I use today to run my ads, but you should be open to testing. So this is the account. As you can see, I'm going to refresh this account. So my account, and I have maximum set here, spent 1.86 million, and we have had 27 million impressions and almost 500,000 clicks. So 27 million impressions. And most of this is actually in the US. So, okay, that's what I have done. And like I said, I've done more than that, but just for this video, just one ad account. All right. So this is a different ad account. This is a test ad account that I'm going to show you some of the things that I do. So the first thing that I do now in 2025, and as I run my ads now, is I use lifetime budget. I have seen lifetime budget do really, really well. Okay. There's something about running a lifetime budget. Again, this one, as you can see, there's a lot of lifetime budgets in here as well, but this one is just a test campaign so that I can show you how I set up my campaigns. Okay, so what I do is that I just create a new campaign, and typically almost 99% of the time we use sales campaign. All right, and we set a lifetime budget on the campaign level. So all you have to do is click on lifetime budget and you can set a budget. Now what we like to do is we like to have a end date. Okay, we have end date, and we typically have 30 days out. So if you want to spend, let's say you have 30 days out end date, right? If you want to spend, let's say, if you put $900 budget, so that's $30 per day. So if you want to spend $30, then what you would do is that you would set a budget of $900, then that would spend $30 per day if you have a end date for 30 days. All right. So that's the way we do it. And we change this budget to $1,200. We change this budget to $3,000, $2,000, $4,000, right? That's how we do it. And as we run the campaigns, as we manage the campaign, we change the end date. So we are always changing the end date. Now, the biggest thing and the reason why I decided to go to lifetime budget, okay, it's because of the efficiency of the budget. When I was running daily budget, I realized that it had a daily budget of, let's say, $30. It would spend the whole $30, okay? And that doesn't mean like it found me the customer within that $30 budget. It has the budget, so it's just gonna spend the money. What I realized with a lifetime budget is that someday it's only gonna spend $30, someday it's gonna spend $20, and someday it's gonna spend $50, okay? I saw that pattern. So it was spending more on the day we had more customers, and it was spending less on the day we had no customer. So for example, we're noticing that more people buy over the weekends. So the budget automatically changes. It automatically puts more money over the weekend. So that was fascinating to see that. Okay. So when we started seeing that, we kind of shifted the whole strategy into using lifetime budget. We still test every now and then daily budget to see how it does. And we're surprised how good the lifetime budget works. And we use the lifetime budget on campaign level. Now, you can also use the lifetime budget on ad set level as well. You can also do that. Of course, you can definitely do that. But for us at the moment, we're testing more on the campaign level. All right. But you can also do, like I said, on the ad set level too. It's the same thing. It's the same strategy. All right. So let me go to campaign budget. Then you're going to go, first of all, again, you have to select the lifetime budget. Then you're going to go to ad set. Then what you're going to do is that you're going to change the start and end date. I typically always have my ads run from the midnight. That's just what I do. I noticed that if you have an ad that just runs like in the middle of the day, right? What happens is that you spend the money on that day, but it's not going to be efficient. Okay. You want to start the ad in the midnight so that it has the entire day to run ads. Okay. So we're going to do 29. We're going to do 12 o'clock. It'll end on the 12 o'clock. Okay. Midnight. So that's basically what it is. That's basically how I do lifetime budget. And that's the reason why I do lifetime budget at the moment and why it works now. And by the way, it's just not from me. I have some friends who have spent over $100 million on paid ads. And this is also the strategy that they use as well. And some of my friends, what they do is that they also do bid caps. So if I go here, you can see that you can do bid cap, okay? They use lifetime budget with bid cap. And you can change bid cap here. As you can see, you can change bid cap and you can test different bid caps. Typically, whatever the CPA you're wanting for, you can go around with the CPA, but you can test different bid cap, okay? And that works well as well. Like I have seen accounts that do really well as well. So definitely try out lifetime budget if you have not already. So the next thing that I do is I use one campaign, multiple ad set, and multiple ads strategy, okay? So I will show you my campaign and ad set strategy first, and then I'm gonna talk about ad strategy separately, all right? So, and then I'm gonna bring it all together. So let's work with this campaign. So what I do is I have one campaign and I have multiple assets. And I only have, let's say about 2 to 3 assets. So the next strategy is one campaign, multiple assets, okay? And whenever one of my campaign or one of my assets don't do well, you know, of course I turn off the assets, but I launch new campaigns. So I'm scaling with campaigns, okay? I don't have 3 campaigns with hundreds of different assets. What I have is I have multiple campaigns with multiple assets, 2 or 3 different assets. That's the way I like to run my campaign at this point. And that's the strategy that seems to be working for us, for our accounts, for our clients' account at the moment, all right? And I've seen other media buyers do the same thing as well, especially if you're running bid cap, right? If you're running bid cap, the campaigns itself become very, very sensitive. You cannot have multiple different assets in one campaign with different bid cap, because if you have a lifetime budget at the campaign level, the budget gets shifted to different assets. So unless you're doing a asset budget, then maybe that makes sense. But if you're doing a campaign budget, then you would need to have multiple different campaigns. And at the moment for us, campaign budget seems to be doing better than, again, asset budget. The way I like to think of is that if you have a campaign budget, you're not just optimizing for campaign, right? You're also optimizing for interest and then the ads in all of them, right? But if you have an asset budget, you're saying, I know that asset is good. I only need you to optimize the ads, okay? So you're only optimizing the ads. So it depends on what you want to do, right? As we are scaling, as we're spending 10, 20K per day on ads, yes, we do use ad set budget. At that point, we know what interest works. We know what we're doing. So we do use ad set budget. But if you're starting from scratch, if your account is only spending less than $5,000 per day on ads, then I think you should only use campaign budget, to be honest. So let's come up with a hypothetical product. So let's give it a book. This is a business book. Okay, business book that teaches you how to build a AI SaaS company. Okay, so that's the name of the book. That's not how I name my campaign. This is just so that we have it in here. So what I like to do is that, so we're selling a book, right? The thing we're always gonna do is we're gonna have a performance goal. We're gonna have a pixels in there set up somewhere, right? So let's just select a pixel, right? Make sure it's purchase pixel. We do that purchase all the time. This one has a bid cap, so I'm not gonna do a bid cap at the moment because that's gonna be a little too high level for many people. So we're just gonna do highest volume. That will be the safest and the best options for most of the people. You have the date, and then you can choose placements. You can decide what you want to target, what you don't want to target, right? So you can do that. Let's do Facebook and Instagram only. So what we're going to do now is we can show more settings. We can custom audiences, okay? We can do suggest an audience. We can do detailed targeting. So this is what I like to do. So we're selling a business book, how to build a SaaS, right? So is there a SaaS? Okay, there is a SaaS, so software as service. So we're gonna target people who are interested in this, okay? So I put the name of the interest, and let's say we have one ad, okay? We're not gonna go to the ad yet, but let's say we have one ad. So what I like to do now is that I go here and I duplicate this, let's say twice, right? You can have, I would say, anywhere from 3 to 1 asset. Many times we do 1 asset actually, But when you have only one ad set, you have a lot of campaigns, and there is a problem. When you have a lot of campaigns, Meta has some issues. We have noticed it has issues. So what I like to do is I like to have at least 3 to maximum 5 assets in one campaign. What that allows you to do is that it's natural for one of the assets or 2 of the assets or 3 of the assets to not perform. Okay, it's natural for none of them to perform. Most of the things that you do on the ad account is not going to perform. So if it's not going to perform, turn it off. Just turn it off. So if you have, let's say, 4 different assets, 2 of them doesn't work, but now you have 2 assets that are working and making money. Isn't that fantastic, right? But if you only have 1 asset, then if that doesn't work, then you just have to turn off the ads, and you just have to turn off the campaign and just launch a new campaign. Then you're kind of like always launching new campaign, right? So you don't want to be doing that. You want to have multiple different assets most of the time. Okay, so what I would recommend is find a theme. So we're gonna target people who are interested in software as a service interest, right? So now we have some people who are interested in enterprise software. So let's do that. We can target people who are interested in enterprise software. So as you can see, I found a theme. The theme is people who are interested in software, basically. So we're gonna do, let's say, business software, okay? And I also saw one more, which is small business software. So because I saw the interest, I like it, so I'm just going to duplicate. And we're going to go to detailed targeting, and we're going to select small business software, and that's it, small business software. So that's how I set up my campaigns. I typically have one campaign with 4 different or 5 different assets depending on the interest or the group of interest, right? And then I have ads in there. So that's how I set up my campaign. That's how I set up my campaign structure. All right. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. So the next thing that I do is testing. Okay. I wanted to make this a point by itself, is testing. You can listen to me what works, what doesn't work, but ultimately you need to be testing it. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. I have seen accounts where my strategy completely flop. And I have seen an account where something else that what I never thought would work is actually working, right? So I want you to be open to testing. As a media buyer, as a person running the ads, right? You are supposed to be testing. That's your job. Get the creative, get the images, try different ad strategy, try bid cap, try lifetime budget, try daily budget, try lifetime budget in ad set, try different things, try without interest. Try Advantage Plus, try without Advantage Plus, try whatever you can try as long as the budget allows you to do so, okay? The most important thing that I realize is that testing. It's not the strategy, it's not the campaign with multiple assets or 1 asset or 5 assets, right? It's not that, it's testing. Can you test effectively? Can you tell the test you are doing right now is going to bring the results? Do you have a good enough hypothesis about that test, right? If you do so, then it's going to work. The other thing about testing is that creative is the most important thing you can test. It's not the ad strategy. I have seen many times where creative just work. And it doesn't matter what ad strategy you use, it works every time. So you want to be actually testing the creatives. What I mean by that is videos, images, headline, ad copy. You want to be testing them thoroughly so that you know what works and what doesn't work. That is the most important thing. Running the ads, the tactic, the lifetime budget, like all those things, they're not the most important thing. The most important thing is the creative, the messaging that you have on the ads. So you should be working very, very close with your copywriter, with your designer, so that you can test new things faster, okay? And as you are testing creatives, you should try different campaign structure at the same time. So that is the thing that I always have on top of my head as I'm running my campaigns. So the next thing that I do is one ad copy, 1 video / image, right? So I think many of you who have been running ads for a long time may have already noticed that DCO doesn't work, okay? What I mean by that is that if you have a DCO, for example, let's select a different page. So you can select, we're not gonna do a country phone number, okay? Let's grab a link. So we're gonna use this as our link for now. And why does he say call now? Interesting. We're not running. Okay, so what I like to do is that I just like to use, let's go to the image, right? Let's use this one image. So I just like to use one image with one text. This is a primary text, right? So you're going to have a long copy in here. So 500 character, 1500 character, however long you want. And then a headline. This is a headline, right? Get my book. For primary text, let's do, if you ever wanted to launch a SaaS business, get this book. This is not a copywriting video, okay? I'm not a copywriter, so I don't, this is just as a template, okay? Let's say you have, a description, free plus get this free book. Okay, that's it. Done. So what I do is that I just have, we're not gonna select music, by the way. And by the way, I don't use any AI features as well. So I don't use any AI features from Facebook. I have my designers do whatever I want to test. I don't use Facebook to do any AI things for me. It's typically because it makes a lot of mistake, basically, okay? So we can also turn off the flexible, okay? And this is what I mean by I only have one text, one headline, one description. Because as you have noticed, you can add multiple primary text, right? You can add another text, right? You can add another text, and then you can add another text, right? But what I've seen is that it only runs ad for the first one. I don't know if it's just me, but I've run it in multiple accounts. It only runs ad on the first one, okay? It never shows the other primary text, never gets shown. Same thing with the headline. The other second headline, third headline never gets shown. The second headline, the second description, third description never gets shown. So it's kind of like you're only testing with the one headline, to be honest. It is completely a waste of time. And the other thing is that it doesn't show you, Facebook doesn't tell you which description or which headline is working or not. As a media buyer, I want to know what works and what doesn't work, right? So the only way for me to know is to duplicate this ad and have another ad with another headline. So what I mean by that is that, so I just have this one ad here, right? So what I'll do is that I'll duplicate it. So that's a second ad in this ad set. Okay, so now I have a second ad. And let's say I wanted to test a different headline. Okay, so the headline that we have right now is Get My Free Book. Okay, SaaS to Profit Playbook makes it easy. Okay, something like that. So I would use something like that. So now I have a second headline. So when I run the ad, when I see the results, I know if this ad is doing great, if the second ad is doing good, I know it's because of this headline. This headline is the difference between the two ads. Otherwise, everything's the same, right? So that's what I like to do. Let's say I wanted to test something else. I would also duplicate it, right? Let's say I wanted to test another headline or another ad copy. So I would create another variations. So what that means is that if you have 3 ad copies, okay, 3 primary text PT, primary text, right? You have 2 headlines and you have 3 video, then you may actually have 3, 2, 3, right? So you may actually have 18 variations of different ads. So one ad set may actually have 18 different ads, and that's fine. That's the way we do it, okay? The reason, again, is that I want to find the exact ad that works, an exact combination, exact variation. And at this moment, the flexible doesn't work. The other primary text, the second and third, doesn't get shown. So it is a very much disappointment at this moment. So we like to have one ad with the one headline, one video, and one description, and we just keep duplicating it for multiple different ad sets and again and again. So that's how we do it, and that's what works for us, and that's how I can tell what exactly is performing in the ad account. Okay? So that's how we do things right now. So the other thing is using purchase. Okay? So the thing is that we use purchase pixel for everything. That's kind of obvious, but if you're selling, again, if you're selling anything, even if you're doing VSL, right? You're getting people to book a call, I recommend having a purchase pixel on the thank you page so that you can optimize for people to the purchase. It just, like, if you're not doing this, you're making a huge mistake. And I'm guessing a lot of the people are actually doing this, is that you should have purchase for everything. The thing is that Facebook knows exactly who is buying and who is not buying, okay? So it'll be a huge mistake for you to use, let's say, optimizing for lead or optimizing for scheduled call or optimizing for any other event. You should always optimize for purchase. So that's kind of like an obvious one. So make sure to do that. All right. The other thing is tracking. Okay. This is a very important because without knowing a number, you're not going to be able to run ads. Okay. That's one of the biggest thing at this moment, because we have realized that Facebook is very, very much over reporting at the moment. It is heavily over reporting. On our CRM, we see we have 5 purchases, but Facebook says we have 10 purchases. So we don't know which ad is actually getting the purchases or not. So there are multiple ways we do it. What we do is that we duplicate the funnel for every traffic source. If we have Facebook, if we have YouTube, we have different funnel, okay? So that we know all the revenue, all the money in this one funnel came from Facebook and this other funnel came from YouTube. So that's one way we do it. The second way is you can also have UTM. So if you have a UTM, you can tell where the person came from, but it's a very manual process and it's a hassle, but it is helpful. All right. The other thing is you can use a third-party software. So you can use something like Hyros or you can use something like Segmetrics, right? There is other tools like AnyTrack or RedTrack, Triple Whale. There's like a whole bunch of tools. You can go down the rabbit hole. You can find a software that's a good fit for you. The only thing that I would say is that if you're new, like if you're only spending $1,000 a day and you're only making 30-40K a month, then it may not be worth it for you. But if you're spending 5K a day, right, and you're making like 150-300K a month, then these softwares are very, very helpful for you, because if you want to scale your ad account, you need to know the numbers, and the only way to know the number is to track it, right? So at the moment, just using the pixel alone is just not enough, all right? And I recently saw a news where Apple came up with more update, which is basically you cannot even, like basically in Safari, it's even harder to track now. So I think the privacy is just going to get harder and harder in the future, and it's going to be more private, I guess. So using a tracking software, something, would be very, very helpful. Okay. So those are the things that I do right now in 2025, lessons from spending over $1.86 million and even more actually. And that's how I do things. So if you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you on the next video.